You should realize that not everyone is the same as you, even though I know you're a decent guy. In our hearts, we want to think that the planet can be saved. People give us hope, but we run the risk of being harmed if we're not vigilant. Regretfully, we will periodically come across evildoers because they are numerous. Recognize the warning indicators and avoid contact with such individuals. It's likely that you have encountered someone who is truly cruel, who preys on the flaws of others and does them emotional harm without feeling guilty. At times, these actions can be so subtle that we fail to recognize that we are interacting with a nasty individual. Let's discuss the telltale signals that someone is not who they seem to be. Some people will always try to make you feel awful about something or act friendly while you're around, but they'll talk negatively about you behind your back. Being ready is crucial because occasionally, strangers will try to disturb your tranquility, but other times it will be members of your own family. Family is a gift from God, I am sure of that. However, regrettably, some people have a strong tendency to be negative versions of themselves. In this video, I'll walk you through 10 indicators that you're dealing with a nasty person, and what to do if and when they cross your path. Make sure you've clicked the like button prior to the first sign. If you enjoy learning about life and want to share your expertise with others through writing, remember that people will always want to see you as good as they do. This is the whole truth. We'll follow the initial indication. 1 finds joy in the suffering of others. It gives evil individuals joy to see other people suffer. It's obvious you're dealing with a nasty person if you know someone who seems to take pleasure in the suffering of others, as seen by their chuckling or smiling when they witness someone going through a trying moment. This conduct demonstrates a complete lack of empathy and may result in dangerous circumstances that they have made for their own amusement. Imagine a buddy or coworker who, upon learning about your personal issue, makes jokes instead of offering assistance, or who, when you're feeling overwhelmed, laughs at your issues. These behaviors exhibit insensitivity as well as cruelty. These individuals could even purposefully put others in uncomfortable circumstances in order to get pleasure from watching others suffer. In order to watch people's responses and take pleasure in the turmoil they've created, they can also start rumors and start arguments. It's critical to identify these warning signals as soon as possible and keep your distance from those that behave in this way. In order to safeguard your own mental health and welfare, you must take charge of your life. Evildoers have a great deal of control. If they don't have complete control over their lives and the lives of everyone around them, they feel uneasy and helpless. If they don't face opposition, they will misuse their power and will stop at nothing to make sure they have their way. Consider a supervisor who demands to see every small aspect of your job, not out of a desire to assist, but rather out of a need for complete control. Or that friend who, without asking around, always chooses where you go, what you do, and who you go with. These viewpoints demonstrate an oppressive fixation with control. In order to keep control, these individuals can also manipulate circumstances by enforcing strict regulations or employing emotional blackmail. A typical example would be a partner who, rather than out of compassion, feels the need to control your life and is always keeping tabs on your whereabouts and conversations. Not only is this urge for control annoying, but it may also be harmful. These individuals frequently mistreat and exploit others by using their power. To safeguard your autonomy and mental health, you must identify these actions and establish firm boundaries. It's critical to take action to remove yourself from the situation and reclaim your independence if you witness someone attempting to control every element of your life. Experiencing uneasiness in their presence is one of the most obvious indicators that you are dealing with a nasty person. It's possible to feel drained, fidgety, or just uneasy around them. This can be your body's natural alarm system alerting you to a problem. Imagine being at a fun family get-together when everyone is enjoying themselves, but there's one individual that you can never help but feel nervous or uneasy around. You can feel uneasy with someone just by their presence, even if they aren't doing anything bad to you. This can suggest that the individual is hostile or has bad energy. Another illustration might be a coworker that always makes you feel tired or nervous when they come near you. Your body and mind seem to sense that something is odd, even if you are unable to identify the particular cause. These feelings are not to be disregarded. Oftentimes, our instincts pick up on signs that our conscious minds might miss. You should be wary of someone's potential bad intentions if you find yourself uneasy around them all the time. You can stay out of dangerous situations and preserve your inner calm by being aware of and giving importance to these feelings. 4. Irresponsibility. People that are evil never own up to their mistakes. When something goes wrong, they always place the blame elsewhere and enjoy acting like the victim. They demand an apology from you and refuse to accept responsibility for their errors. Consider a colleague who blunders on a significant assignment. Rather than owning up to their mistakes, they swiftly assign responsibility to you or another team member, claiming that everyone else is to blame but them. This makes you feel unfairly blamed, and it creates a poisonous work environment. Another illustration would be a friend who consistently gets into problems and, rather than acknowledging that their actions were the cause, always places the blame elsewhere. It's either the traffic or someone else that caused them to be late for their appointment. When something goes wrong in their lives, they always find a way to place the blame and play the victim, rather than taking responsibility for their own acts. These individuals are also masters at making you feel bad about their errors. They contrive circumstances to force you to issue an apology for something you didn't even cause. This is emotionally taxing and over time may damage your self-worth. Maintaining your mental and emotional well-being depends on your ability to identify these behaviors. Individuals who never own up to their mistakes have the ability to manipulate and induce shame in others. To protect your relationship, you must learn to recognize these people and keep your distance from them. Health. 5. Evil people have the horrible habit of lying all the time. They frequently lie for amusement or to control others, and they do it for their own gain. They only care about themselves and don't respect your friendship or trust. Consider a coworker who, in order to stand out, constantly invents stories about their accomplishments at work and exaggerates or even fabricates facts. Or the person who claims they were unwell and couldn't make it to your function, but you later find out they were having a great time somewhere else. Not only are these lies deceptive, but they also completely disregard you and other people. Often, liars utilize their falsehoods to control people and circumstances. For instance, a spouse who fabricates information about their goals or sentiments in order to dominate you or win a fight. They can also fabricate rumors or disseminate false information to incite rivalries among friends or co-workers, all for amusement or personal gain. These lies could start off tiny and seem innocuous, but over time they damage relationships and undermine trust. Someone doesn't respect you and is willing to betray your confidence in order to obtain something if they lie to you frequently, even about small matters. Maintaining successful relationships requires identifying and challenging these lies. If you become aware that someone consistently lies, you should evaluate how that person affects your life and whether you can continue to have a trustworthy connection with them. Any healthy relationship needs honesty as its cornerstone, and those who lie frequently are unable to provide it. 6. Absence of regret. Evil people have no regrets about what they have done. They never feel bad about the harm they cause to other people. When challenged, they twist the circumstances to cause you to question your understanding of reality. Imagine if a coworker takes credit for your work and doesn't apologize when you approach them about it. Rather, they attempt to defend their behavior by claiming that you couldn't have accomplished it on your own, or that they were only assisting you in shining. Such actions display a complete lack of regret and empathy, exposing a very manipulative and self-centered personality. An additional illustration would be a friend who is always saying cruel or hateful things. When you attempt to discuss how those remarks impact you, they chuckle and call you overly dramatic, or even imply that you're too sensitive. This conduct demonstrates a lack of regret and also aims to mislead you into doubting your emotions by warping your understanding of reality. These folks are experts at making things better. They rapidly turn into the victims of your mistakes or destructive behavior, making you feel bad about bringing it up. This emotional manipulation is a blatant indication that the person is more interested in maintaining their reputation than they are in feeling genuine regret for their actions. It's critical to acknowledge the lack of regret in order to safeguard your mental well-being. Individuals who don't feel bad about harming other people are free to carry on with these destructive habits, since they believe there won't be any actual repercussions. It's critical to recognize this tendency and establish firm limits in order to safeguard oneself and preserve wholesome relationships. To protect your well-being, you should think about severing ties with someone who consistently demonstrates a lack of regret. 7. Cruelty. Some wicked people choose to act in a harsh and blatant manner. They may be violent, inflict harm on others verbally or physically, and take pleasure in their misery. This kind of individual is characterized by their lack of empathy and their capacity to purposefully cause suffering. Consider a coworker who doesn't think twice to make hurtful or degrading remarks in public. During meetings, they could make fun of your ideas or point out your flaws in a nasty way, not to provide helpful critique, but to undermine your confidence. This conduct not only depletes the group's morale, but also fosters a hostile and repressive workplace. Another instance might be a friend who, albeit knowing it bothers you, makes jokes about your fears or personal issues. They might make fun of you for something you revealed in confidence, and based on your response, they might even be enjoying your pain. It is obvious that someone who lacks empathy and takes delight in the suffering of others is cruel. These individuals are also capable of violent physical and verbal behavior. Open cruelty is when your partner verbally or physically attacks you on a daily basis. These behaviors demonstrate a complete disrespect for the dignity and well-being of others, and are intended to injure and control. It's critical to identify cruelty in others if you want to keep your bodily and mental integrity intact. Openly cruel people can do great and long-lasting harm because they show no regard for the sentiments of others. To protect your safety and mental well-being, you must set limits and keep these folks at a distance. Never be afraid to ask for help and take precautions to keep yourself safe if you are being mistreated. 8 cautions from friends and family about the bad person's character. It's critical to heed warnings from friends and family about a person's character. They might have previously seen destructive and poisonous behaviors. Do not disregard these indications, as similar events may befall you if you are not cautious. Consider the scenario where your closest friends and relatives voice concerns as soon as you start dating someone new. They bring up the fact that this individual has a track record of being disrespectful and manipulative in past relationships. It's important to pay close attention to these issues, even though it can be challenging to accept these comments, particularly if you're emotionally invested. Another instance would be when you start a new job and your coworkers alert you right away about a particular supervisor. They relate tales of a boss who constantly vents his or her resentment on staff members, making the workplace stressful and demoralizing, and who never accepts accountability for their errors. These tales are not only hearsay, rather they are cautionary tales drawn from actual events that can spare you from unpleasant circumstances. These advisories from loved ones are important since they are unbiased and come from the outside. Your loved ones only have your best interests in mind and would never intentionally mislead you. It is a clear indication that you should exercise caution if multiple people are alerting you about the same individual. It is simple to downplay or disregard these indications, particularly if the individual in question is currently treating you nicely. But acknowledging and taking these issues into account now can save you a great deal of pain later on. It's likely that you will engage in toxic and harmful behaviors if someone engages in them on a regular basis. Observe the person's behavior closely and take these warnings seriously. When cruelty, manipulation, or a lack of accountability are evident, think about removing yourself from the situation before it gets out of hand. Red flags that you might miss in the heat of the moment could be obvious to your friends and relatives. Put your trust in them and keep yourself safe from harm. 9. Contempt. When someone manipulates your emotions, it's one of the worst things they can do. These folks make you feel unworthy by disparaging your looks, hobbies, aspirations, and whatever else they can. Refrain from allowing these folks to alter your self-perception. Imagine having a partner who is always critical of the way you look, highlighting your physical imperfections as though they were real, unforgivable defects. They may remark something such, "Why don't you dress better? You could be more attractive." These remarks are not helpful. They are nasty and meant to make you doubt yourself. A friend who disparages your passions and interests and treats your accomplishments and aspirations as though they are unworthy of regard is another example. They could make fun of your hobbies or aspirations, making you feel silly for going after your dreams. This kind of disrespect not only makes you feel upset, but it also casts doubt on your skills and abilities. These individuals lower your self-esteem by using contempt as an emotional control tactic, making you rely more on them for approval and affirmation. Without acknowledging your true identity, they aim to mold your sense of self in accordance with their own preferences and interests. Don't allow these people to make you feel less than yourself. You are important and should be accorded dignity and thoughtfulness. It is obvious that someone does not care about your emotional health if they are disparaging you all the time. You can defend yourself by avoiding people who are always attempting to minimize you, and by looking for connections that can advance your pleasure and personal development. Cruelty towards animals can reveal deeper issues in a person's character. Animal abuse is a blatant indication of a nasty person. You might want to keep your distance from someone you know who treats animals cruelly or carelessly. Consider a neighbor who regularly mistreats their dog, striking and screaming at it for no apparent reason. In addition to causing the animal pain, these acts demonstrate the abuser's lack of empathy and emotional maturity. That person may experience this abusive behavior in different spheres of their life. Someone who maintains their animals in appalling conditions without providing them with the necessary food, hygiene, or healthcare is another example. Persistent disrespect for the life and welfare of the animals under their care is evident. These acts are not to be disregarded. Research indicates that aggressive actions directed towards people are frequently connected to mistreatment of animals. It's critical to identify these indicators and take into account the effects of being near someone who exhibits them. It's important to put the safety and well-being of the animals and ourselves first, even though it might be challenging to recognize when we're blinded by friendship, love, or respect for someone. Consider keeping your distance from anyone you believe is abusing animals, and to safeguard the animals and stop further injury, report the behavior to the relevant authorities as soon as you can. Please share any additional warning indicators you may have that aren't covered in this article in the comments section. I would adore reading your thoughts. Please leave a remark if you have read all the way through. Evil is always defeated by good. If you thought these thoughts were insightful, please remember to subscribe and use the like button for more knowledge. Let's all have more wisdom now. Until the next occasion.